Hey guys, my name is Willow and today we're in Nashville and we are with my two little favorite guys in the world here. They have been featured in a couple other videos, but it occurred to me that people may not actually know who these guys are. So these are my two Pomeranians, Felix and Remy, and today I wanted to just take a moment and tell the story about them, how they came into my lives and how special they are to me. So this is little Felix here. I'm gonna kind of start with him because he was the first dog that I got. So I grew up on a farm and I have always had dogs. When I was growing up, we were fostering dogs, rescuing dogs like constantly. We always had somewhere between like 4 and 8 dogs at all times. We always had so many of them. And so when I first moved to New York, I didn't bring any dogs or any pets or any animals at all with me. And it was something that I just missed so much. I was flying back and forth between Florida and New York constantly to go visit my pets down there, but I just missed having a little furry friend so much. And so after a few years, I got Felix in 2018. So after a few years of living in New York, finally had my own apartment and was a little bit more stable. The first few years I lived in New York, I was still traveling so much that it was impossible to have a dog. But after a few years, I kind of made enough friends in New York that I had people that I trusted to watch him when I traveled and that I could kind of make it work a little bit better. So I started looking for a dog and honestly, I would have taken any dog in the world. Like, I was just so excited to have a puppy again. But I started looking at a lot of different breeds of dogs and really fell in love with Pomeranians. They are so sweet and happy and playful, and they really have big dog personalities instead of like a prissy little dog type of thing. I feel like Felix is like a golden retriever stuck in a tiny little body. So I started looking at puppies all over the place. I really wanted to rescue something. That was something that, I'd done my whole life, and it's something that I really wanted to continue doing. And I was looking at all of these puppies available, but I was having a really hard time finding a dog that was young, but that I knew was going to stay small enough for me to still be able to travel with him. And I came across Felix one day. I actually found him on Craigslist. I've gotten a lot of animals on Craigslist in the past, and it just seems to be a good situation. You typically find animals on there that really desperately need a new home, and animals that are kind of like one step before they go to the shelter. So if you get them there, then they don't really ever have the trauma of going to an actual shelter. So Felix we got from this Russian woman who was living in New York, and she went back home to Russia to visit like friends and family. And she got these 2 little Pomeranian puppies when she was over there and brought them home to New York with her and was going to keep them there. But she had this like 35-pound-ish like German Spitz, which is a really similar breed to a Pomeranian, but they're a lot bigger. And so she had one of those dogs already that was full size, that was like her baby. And when she brought the 2 little puppies home, that dog did not like the puppies at all. He was running around and like attacking them constantly. He was grabbing Felix and throwing him into the walls, into the couch, and just pretty much treating him like a chew toy. So the woman realized pretty quickly that this wasn't gonna work out. He was about like 5-6 months old when I got him. So he was still young, but he wasn't like an itty bitty baby puppy. And so I adopted him, and it was, at the beginning, it was hard. He was a lot. He had a lot of traumas from that situation. And he's such a smart dog that he was really, really difficult to potty train and just really struggled in general. He was a handful. I felt like I had an actual baby when I had Felix because he would wake me up several times in the middle of the night. He had to go outside to go potty, or he just wanted to play, or he wanted to eat or drink or something several times for like 6 months. He would wake me up all throughout the night, and then he never really got along with other dogs very well. Whenever we would go to the dog park, he got the nickname of the hall monitor because he would just run around barking at all the other dogs that were playing. So it was really hard. He really didn't fit in with any of the other dogs. He would always just get so scared because he had been attacked so much when he was just a little puppy. So that's kind of where Remy came in. So we got Remy also when we were still living in New York, and I wanted a second dog for me, but I mainly just wanted for Felix to have a little friend, somebody that he could bond with at home. And then the idea was so that then when he went to the dog parks, he would have somebody watching his back, and then hopefully Remy would be a little bit more confident and going out there and, just have his back and make him a little more comfortable at the dog parks. But it's not exactly how things went down. I started looking for another puppy, and I was trying to adopt one. I was looking for a long time. We got Felix, and then it was about a year and a half later, I want to say, that we actually found Remy. But I started looking for a friend for him pretty soon after we got him, and I just couldn't find any dogs that I felt would be a really good fit for him since he was so sensitive. And then Remy was the most impulsive thing I've ever done in my entire life. It was ridiculous. I had been planning to get another dog for a while, but I felt like I couldn't really find one that I wanted to commit to. And then it was Thanksgiving weekend in New York. I had been kind of popping into all sorts of shelters and places in New York, and there was this one place that I went into, and they mentioned that a Pomeranian puppy was coming in on Friday morning. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll be around and I'll come back in and I'll see it on Friday. And I was walking around, and Friday morning, I remember I had a casting downtown in the morning, and then I was flying back to Florida for Thanksgiving that afternoon. And so I went to my casting, and then as I was on my way from the casting back to my apartment to grab my stuff and run to the airport, the place that said that they had a Pomeranian puppy coming in Friday morning was right there. It was I'm just gonna pop it. In 2 seconds, I'm gonna be in and out. I'm sure I'd seen so many dogs at this point, and I was I'm sure it's not gonna be what I'm looking for. So I pop in, and I remember the second I walked into the place, I saw him from all the way across the room, and I just immediately went and found who was in charge and was I'm taking that puppy home right now. I fell in love with him the second that I saw him. He was so tiny and cute and precious, absolutely. He's tiny now. He's only 5 pounds. He's absolutely itty bitty, and he's almost all hair anyway. He's the size of a squirrel underneath of all the fluff, but he was only a pound when I first got him. He was actually so small that I couldn't take him home that day. There's a law in New York that puppies have to be a certain size before they can go home with you. And he was not big enough. At 12 weeks old, he was not big enough to even go home with anybody. So he had to stay there with them for 2 more weeks, actually. So I, got him, and but it was love at first sight with Remy. And then went down to Florida, spent a week down in Florida. And then when I came back from Florida, I had to wait another week. And then I went and picked him up, and Felix was so confused. It was love at first sight for me, but it was not love at first sight for Felix. He was terrified of Remy when we first got him. I remember it was the most ridiculous thing. Remy was literally the size of a gerbil. He was so small that he fit in my coat pocket. I would walk all around New York with him just in my jacket pocket. That's how tiny he was. But we just put them down on the floor together, and Remy started chasing Felix all around, and Felix was terrified. He didn't know if it was a dog or a bunny or what this little thing was, and Remy was just so excited to be friends with Felix, but Felix was not having it for a while. And Remy used to be super confident at dog parks, and then at some point Felix kind of polluted his way of thinking as well. And Felix essentially taught Remy to be terrified of all other dogs too. So now at this point, they are friends now. They are brothers, and they love each other very much now. But it did not bring Felix out of his shell literally at all. Now I pretty much just have 2 dogs that refuse to go to the dog park or play with anybody else, but at least they have each other, so that is good. It kind of served the purpose for that reason, but they really don't play with the other dogs very well. But yeah, Felix is my little firstborn. They're very different. Their personalities are like polar opposites. Felix is like, he's like literally asleep right now, but Felix is so sweet and like gentle and caring and loving and sensitive and is like such a good little boy. And then Remy's just a little wild man. If you saw my paddleboarding video, I took both of them out on the water paddleboarding, and Felix is like just such a sweet, good boy, and Remy's always just like a little bit crazy and a little hard to handle. But there's definitely a lot more adventures with the 2 of them coming. Felix's birthday is coming up, so we're gonna be having a little birthday party for him soon. I'm gonna be taking you guys along with us for that. But yeah, these are my little adventure buddies. They're gonna be in so many videos moving forward, so I thought it would be fun for you to introduce them, learn about them, hear their stories, and get to know them a little bit better, because they're my babies, so they're gonna be around for a while. But thank you so much for watching, and make sure you're subscribed to see some other videos and follow along.